Hey guys, hope you're all enjoying your weekend so far, but I finally went ahead and put some real deep thought into how I think an ice subclass could work for the Titans. Now, in case you haven't seen my previous video, I'm going to give you some backdrop. In a previous video, I talked about how each class, Titan, Hunter, and Warlock, can have a specific element. For example, I said a Warlock could have a light element, a Hunter could have some type of an animal companion type of thing, and Titans would of course have Frost. So I'm going to just go over that and how I think each bubble would be filled in the skill tree. Real quick, to gloss over the gameplay in the background, I am playing on my Warlock, highest level character, but it's my most neglected. Surprisingly, I've just been really lucky on it. But I just want to vary up the gameplay a little bit, change it up. So instead of my standard Doctrine of Passing 1,000 Yard Stare combo, I'm using the Jade Rabbit and the Iron Wreath, two guns that I almost never really touched. So I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay, but let's get right into the video. So as we all know, as soon as you press triangle or Y if you're on Xbox over the subclass, your skill tree pops up, and the first thing to your left is the grenades. So here are my ideas for an ice/frost build grenade. So the first one, as I mentioned before, would be a Cryo Grenade. Basically how this works is if it's a direct hit, it'll instantly freeze the enemy, and upon death, they'll explode and it'll give a shatter effect, and it'll deal like fragmentation damage to enemies in the area. If it hits kind of, it'll just slow their movements a little bit. Now next, I have I call it a stag grenade. Basically, it'll be shaped like a stalagmite or stalactite, and it'll work kind of like the hunter throwing knife or kind of like a Call of Duty tomahawk. Basically, just imagine your Titan going in for a melee, and he just pulls his arm back in some kind of way, and you just see the stalagmite form, and then he just throws his palm forward and shoots it out. And I think that would be pretty cool. It'll just slow enemies down that it hits, but it'll deal massive damage. So I think it'd be really cool to give the Titans some more type of a ranged kind of melee attack, just because they don't really have one right now. They kind of have short little T-Rex arms that barely do any damage. So that's probably one of the ones I'm most excited for. And of course, number 3, I really think Titans desperately need some type of a bolt grenade. Now, Warlocks have Arc Bolt and Firebolt, Hunters have Arc Bolt, and what if the Titans had something like a Frost Bolt? Maybe it wouldn't have any type of slowing or freezing effect, but it could just work like a standard bolt grenade. It just scans the area and hits whatever it sees. I think that would be pretty cool. Of course, it would have to be on par with the other bolt grenades, nerf and all. And I think it could be really cool. It'd help vary up the Titans' gameplay a little bit. Maybe help them be a little bit more effective in the rushing game, because a lot of their grenades are really geared more towards being passive, especially in the Defender subclass. With Solar, of course, you can rush pretty much anything. Now for the jumps, what I want to talk to you about is not really pertaining to the subclass in general, just one specific perk that's in every Titan subclass, and that is the Catapult perk. This perk is generally fairly underwhelming and doesn't give you really initial boost of speed that you were thinking it would give you. I think that as soon as you double tap X for that second time, it should really just absolutely launch you. You should go flying in whatever direction you're holding the stick. It'll be kind of like a blink ability. It'll just be a really quick dash, kind of like the way the Twilight Garrison does. Maybe that's why they added that exotic into the game. But I think they really didn't need to add Twilight Garrison if Catapult worked a little bit better. So that's just my idea for that. Increased height, increased control worked fine already, but Catapult really does need some reworking. But let's get into my favorite part, which is the actual super itself. So we all know that whenever you first get your subclass and you start leveling it up, you're finally able to activate your super once you unlock that bubble. I don't really have names for these yet, for some I do, but here's how the first just initial super bubble would work. You'd get greatly increased damage resistance, but decreased movement speed. So for example, if you're hitting the sprint stick, you would go about the normal speed that you would be walking, but if you're just doing normal walking motion, you would move very, very sluggishly. Now next, the upgrade for that would be that you are immune to damage for 15 seconds, and your walking speed would be the same. Walking speed would be the fastest movement you could do. Next, I have an idea for this one. It's called Shatter. When you pop your super, you shoot small ice shards that freeze enemies it hits. So it kind of does an AoE attack, and it would be kind of like a Fist of Havoc, but a Fist of Havoc that doesn't do damage right away. It freezes the enemies, and it lets you take them out one by one. Of course, this is a more slow type of passive control style, which I think the ice subclass fits, and that's how it would work. You just shoot ice all over. things freeze and you can go from there. You choose to fight them, maybe not, or you can just run right past them. So kind of like Fist of Havoc, but not as effective, a bit more defensive. And the last ability, I'm really excited about this one. It's called Titan Skate. So a little bit of a play on words there. If you are a Titan, or if you're familiar with Titan Skating, it's where you just mash X with the increased control upgrade on your jetpack, and you are the fastest moving class in the game. So the way this super works is absolutely all around speed. So what I have written here is Titan Skate. Slightly reduced damage, greatly increased agility. Jetpack movement speed increased by 2 times. That to me just sounds like a ton of fun, just to go flying all over the place. Titan skating in itself, you could argue that it's basically a religious experience for Titans, somewhat similar to a shoulder charge. Once you go shoulder charge, you never come back, except for Titan skating. So I just think that could be a ton of fun. Just imagine flying all over the map, confusing enemies, and with a passive-based subclass, I think this could really work because it'll give you some type of aggro, some type of aggressive maneuvers that you can use to get close to enemies to deal some damage or get close to an objective. So that would be really fun in my opinion. It just gives you a small amount of damage resistance, but you pick up on that speed. It'll help you if you're trying to outrun a Blade Dancer. Of course, outrunning Blade Dancer isn't the hardest thing, but really I just think this would be a ton of fun. Titan skating, it's quintessential Titan in Destiny. But yeah, that's it. Now let's get on to the melee. The way I have melee working is all around the ice mechanic. So as soon as you upgrade that first bubble, what you're going to do is your punch will slow enemies down after you hit them. It'll just reduce them. They won't be able to sprint. It'll kind of work kind of like a suppression. They can still use supers and throw grenades, but they just won't be able to sprint. So that's my idea behind that one. Now next, your melee kills decrease your super cooldown. Kind of similar to what Titans have on the Striker subclass. Kind of standard stuff, nothing really too crazy. Now this one is a great idea. Kind of inspired by, well, not kind of, it is inspired by Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. And it can be used kind of in a way that the Hunter Smoke Grenades are used. So it'll be that similar mechanic. Your melee charge is replaced by an upgrade style charge. So it's called Ice Clone. And taking damage, you can jump back, and it'll replace your body with a clone that can soak up, let's say, around 50 points of damage. So maybe 2 shots out of a pulse rifle burst, or a few pellets out of a shotgun. So the way you would use this, let's say you're in a gunfight and you're about to lose and you know you're going to lose. You just look straight down and throw the what did I call it again? I don't remember. I don't think I had a name for this one. The Ice Clone. It's called Ice Clone, sorry. You throw the Ice Clone grenade down at your feet, and you're just instantly moved back a little bit, and your body is replaced by a copy of you that's made of ice. It doesn't have any other properties. It's just purely an obstruction in the way to eat a couple bullets while you try to reload, or maybe get away, or maybe try to sneak around it to get an extra shot off. So that could be really cool. It requires some quick thinking. You gotta be on your feet if you want to make use of it, and it could just be a lot of fun. Of course, in the next columns, you have Titan Codexes 1 through 3, and those will be standard. Every Titan will have the same thing. Every Hunter, Warlock, those will go unchanged. And then Titan 4 through 6, of course, the same thing. Now, between those two, in the middle column, you'll have some passives. Now, this one is just purely aesthetic because I think it's cool, and that is enemies on the radar show up blue instead of red because blue is cool. It's my favorite color, and I'd rather they be blue than red. I think it'd be change things up a little bit because the UI gets dry after you've been staring at it for over 1,000 hours. Now, next, increased duration of freeze grenades. So when you freeze somebody, they'll stay frozen for an extra 2, maybe 3 seconds, because that is kind of a long time, especially in this game. And lastly, ice element kills increase agility +2. So really, this subclass is made to be very passive, but it does have perks to allow you to be aggressive, and that's what I think is really cool. It's the best of both worlds. Your super really isn't geared towards killing things. Your grenades really aren't made for killing things, but if you can get in and out of places and just be really quick, you can kind of be like a stealth ninja type thing without the stealth because hunters kind of own that. But increased agility is always fun. I like to move fast. So, yeah, you know, Sanic, gotta go fast, all that stuff. Now, next, we have the final column, which is, I put the most thought into this one just because I think it needs to be the best. And it needs to have fairly balanced options among all three, but that's easier said than done. I didn't come up with the best ideas, but I have a couple here, so I hope you guys like these ones. The first one on the far right, top right corner, would be increase freeze duration while in super. So when you're in super, instead of being frozen for 15 seconds being immune to damage, you would be able to go 20 or 23 seconds immune to damage. Next, freeze kills regenerate shields, but not health. It'll kind of work like the Titan perk Cauterize, but it won't instantly start regenning everything. It'll just give you shields, maybe kind of like the Warlock Flame Shield, to just give you an overshield. I think that would be pretty cool, fairly balanced, because Flame Shield isn't too big a deal, and with the Titan's short melee range, and the fact that their grenades generally probably won't kill very often, it'll be cool just to give them something to bump up their health, especially if they're trying to get away or if they focus on being aggressive and fast. And the last one, I call this one Aura. Nearby friendlies receive +1 armor, +1 agility, but -3 recovery. So if you're team shooting somebody, you'll be able to take more damage, you'll be able to move a little bit quicker to help evade some bullets, but you won't be able to regenerate health as easily. This will, of course, inspire teams to stick together a little bit more closely, but there will be some adverse effects to that. So team shotting, while effective, will have a little bit of drawback, which I think is a good thing. Now let me just go ahead down the list, make sure I didn't miss anything. Grenades, jump, super melee, codexes, passives, and column, aura. Okay, I think that's everything, guys. This video I was really passionate about. It was really easy to make this one because, of course, I am a Titan fanboy. Titans are just cool in my opinion. Everything about them is awesome. Twilight Gap, Lord Saladin, Shax, all that cool stuff. They're just great in my opinion. But the other classes have a ton of merit to them too, but it may take me a little while longer. I'm not as familiar with the Hunter and Warlock, especially lore-wise, as I should be, but as I make these next videos about the Warlock Light subclass and the Hunter Companion subclass, I think I'll really be able to make something pretty cool. But again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'd appreciate any feedback, and let me know your ideas, some things you disagree with, and just anything at all. So I'll see you guys soon in my next video. It may not be the Warlock one. I might have something in between. Actually, you know, I think I will have something that I'm going to throw in between. But yeah, that's another video for another day. I'll see you guys again soon, and thank you for watching. See ya.